this channel, and this is 30-day React challenge, probably part 10 or 12. I'm not sure right now. We are working on describing the UI. Previously, we saw how to pass data using props. Today, we will going to see conditional rendering. So let's get started. Your component will often need to display different things depending on different conditions. Okay, that's true. Although in quick setup we already have worked on conditional rendering a little bit, but yeah, this can help as you as well. In React, you can conditionally render JSX using JavaScript syntax like if, else, and ternary operations. Okay, so we already know that JSX is nothing but a JavaScript object, and which gives us, facility to write JavaScript syntax in our markup. And since we have that, since we have that, what do you say, capability, we can even write if statement and ternary operation. So question mark and colon are used as a ternary operation. Let's see what we will going to learn today. How to return different JSX depending on a condition. Okay. How to conditionally include or exclude a piece of JSX. Common conditional syntax shortcut you will encounter in React code bases. Awesome. I'm more excited about this one. Common conditional syntax shortcuts, because shortcut is something which actually makes your life more easier. You can, and projects you as a seasoned developer. Let's get started. Conditionally returning JSX. Let's say you have a packaging list component rendering several items which can be marked as a packed or not. So basically what they have done, they have created a packing list application where you will write the list of packed items and you will mark it, or mark it in a way like whether it is packed or not. So we have a function component with name item. It's accept two props, names and is packed, and it has created a list item with the name. Now packing list has a section where item is being called, and they are passing this item again and again for as many items we have. Okay, so basically what I'm trying to say is that I'm gonna increase the screen zoom out so that it's visible more probably. So basically what I'm trying to say is we are repeating this piece of code again and again, which till now, if you have been following the series, you should know if you're repeating a certain piece of code again and again, there has to be a better way. Why? Because programmers or developers are very lazy people. We do not want to write anything again. Okay, notice that some of the item component have there is packed prop set to true instead of false. So basically if it is packed, we are returning as giving as true. If it is not, we are putting as false. You want to add a check mark to packed item if it is packed. Okay, so so basically this part, like repeating the code, we will be working on rendering list. Right now we are working on conditionally returning JSX. So next topic, definitely we will be working on that. So right now what they are saying is that whenever I'm sending an item or creating a component, I am sending a prop saying is packed true or false, and based on that value I want to modify my UI. I want to add a check mark, and it should be marked if it is packed. If it is not, it should be unmarked. So what they're doing, they have created an if statement. So if it is packed, then it should return the name with the tick mark. If it is not, then not. then just the name is being returned. If this backprops is true, this code return different JSX tree, the change some item get checked. So this is how they are doing that. Okay. Now, if you have a doubt on line 3 and line 5, like basically we are not adding an else condition, just putting it return 5. Why? Well, basically this means the same thing. So what happens is that it will check is packed is true. If this is true, it will return a come out of this function. Otherwise, it will come to this one. Okay. Try editing what gets returned in either case. Let and see how the results changes. Okay, try editing what results what gets returned. Either cases. Notice how you're creating a branching logic with JS if and return statement in React Control 4. Flow condition is handled by React. Let's do that. I'm gonna go to my sandbox here. Oops. Cool. So basically this is what they are trying to do. So suppose if I change this logic to be false, like if this is false, what is not bad you have to mark as, cross. So yep, this is the one. Is this working? No. Give me a minute. I have no idea why this doesn't work in my system. I'm just like cross. I'm sorry, I couldn't add the symbol, but you understood the gist, right? Okay. Now, what else they want from us? Conditionally returning nothing but null. In some situation, you won't want to render anything at all. For example, say you don't want to show a packed item at all. All the component must return something. In this case, you can return null. So if it is already packed, I do not want to return anything, so I can just return null. But if I want to show only the things I want to pack, I will return the name. So this is also can be done. Okay. In practice, returning null from a component isn't common because it might surprise the developer trying to render it. So to tell you the truth, when they say return null from a component, even I got shocked. I was like, okay, if I'm doing that and it's not returning something, I may, if somebody else read your code and they will think, oh, it's not returning something, they may get confused. More often, you should conditionally include or exclude the component in the parent component JSX. Here's how to do that. So basically what they're trying to do, instead of returning this null, you should manipulate your parent JSX in a way to hide this component if there is, if you just want to show the unpacked value. Let's see how they're doing that. In previous example, you can control which, if any, JSX tree would be returned to the component. You may already have noticed some duplication in the printer output. Okay, is very similar to this. Yes, both of the conditional branches return link li list tag. Okay, while this duplication isn't harmful, it could make your code harder to maintain. Again, the same thing, we do not want to, repeat ourselves. We do not want to work hard. You don't have to do it 2 places in your code. In such situation, you could conditionally include a little JSX to your code to make it dry. Now let's see what dry is, because you're gonna hear about this a lot. Don't repeat yourself. Don't repeat yourself is the principle of software development aimed to reducing the repetition of software pattern, replacing it with abstraction or using data normalization to avoid redund, dun, redundancy. Redundancy. So basically, what I'm trying to say is what they are saying. What they are saying is basically coders and developers are lazy bunch of people. They don't want to repeat themselves or do the detailed start. That's why always go for a try. So for that we use conditional or ternary operation with a question mark and a semicolon. JS has a compact syntax of writing conditional expression, the conditional operator or ternary operator we say it. So to convert this, what they will going to see is if is this is packed, then return name and plus this data, otherwise just return name. So this is what basically is saying. If is packed, then return or put the value like this, otherwise put this name value. You can read it as if packed is true, uh, question mark render name with the tick mark, otherwise render your semicolon, render the name. Deep dive. Are these two examples fully equivalent? Okay. If you're coming from an object-oriented programming background, you might assume that two examples above are subtly different because one of them may create two different instances of alike, but JSX elements are an instance because they don't hold any internal state and they aren't a real DOM. Okay, so here what they're trying to say is if you come from any programming language, you can think, okay, this is basically the same thing. I'm creating two list tag and I have created two list tag and basically I am rendering the value based on the condition. It's just a fancy way of writing, but that is not true in the case of JSX. Why? Because JSX is not HTML, it's just JavaScript object, so it does not have its own DOM or state. So only the true condition will have the the list. False will not be created. In fact, a completely equivalent preserving and resetting the state goes into detail about how it works. Okay, we're gonna later on can see this, but not right now. Now let's say you want to wrap the complete item text into another HTML tag like del to strike it out. You can add even more lines and parentheses so that it's easier to nest more JSX. Let's see. Okay. So let's go to a new tab to have a better look about it. So I close this. So it has a list tag with class item, class name item. Quick question. Do you know why we use class name as a selector for class selector, not the name class? This has been covered in previous JSX module. If you know the answer, type it in the comment. Okay. Is packed, if true, then use this tag, basically del, and the name should be striked out, otherwise just add the name. So you can add complex logic and nested component as well in this. I'm not sure, are you guys, I know you may be following what is happening, but are you guys really understanding, like, this is awesome. JSX is so awesome. You can write complicated JavaScript logic inside your markup without learning about specific syntax. How cool is that? The person who created, the people who, this team who has created React, they are awesome people. They made our life so easy, trust me. If you have not used any other framework than React, then you may not, appreciate it more. But if you have come from vanilla JavaScript or Angular or stuff, this is awesome. For me, this is amazing. Okay, this style works well for simple condition, but use it in moderation. If your component get messy with too much nested conditional markup, consider extracting child component to clean it up. So this is the philosophy of React. If it's get too messy, separate it, create another component, add it to your component. Do not add all the logic in the same component. Not cool. In React, markup is a part of your code. So you can use tools like variables, function to tidy up the complex expression. Thank God for that. So logical AND operator, another common shortcut you will encounter in JS is JavaScript AND operator. Inside React, it often comes up with when you want to render some JSX when condition is true, or render nothing otherwise. So this is important. So basically, if you have a if condition and don't have an else condition, then you should go for this. So if this is true, render this, otherwise do nothing, then go for this logical AND operator. It really helps. So suppose I just want to show is packed. So what I can do, if the name is packed, just show tick, otherwise don't show tick. You can read if packed, then and then do something, otherwise render nothing. Here is an action, so no else condition. JavaScript and expression return the value to the right side. Okay, always remember this. This is very, very, very important thing. Whenever you write AND operator, it returns the value on your right. Okay, if the condition on the left is true, but if the condition of left is false, it will not render anything, and it will just won't do anything. Okay, whereas for OR, it's not like that. If the first condition is true, then first one will be rendered, or your left side will render. Pitfall: don't put number on the left side and of AND. Okay, to test condition, JavaScript convert the left side to a boolean automatically. However, if the left side is 0, then the whole impression will get the value of 0, and React will happily render 0 rather than nothing. Okay, so what they're trying to say is never put your number there. So what will happen is, so if you put a number as 0, JavaScript is a very accommodating language, or doesn't like to show error much. So what it will going to do, it will do something called cohesion. What cohesion do? It converts your 0 to a boolean value, and you will get that value, and then your 0 will be shown. Let's try this. I'm really, let's go to console. Cool. 0, oops, and 8. Say 0. Okay, but if you write true and A, it will return A, and if you write false and A, it will return false. Okay, so when I say it returns false, nothing will be shown, but if it returns 0, 0 will be shown on your screen. So yeah, so for example, a common mistake is to write a code like message count and messages this. Okay, so basically what you're saying, if the message count is more than 1, you should show the new message notification. But what happens is that if message count is 0, your 0 will be shown. Conditionally assigning JSX to a variable. When a shortcut get in a way of writing plain code, just try to use if statement and a variable. You can reassign the value with define with let. So start providing the default value. So if If you're not comfortable with ternary or and operation, don't use it, okay? I will not say give up on them, but first write your if conditions and then try to convert them to your ternary or your and operation, whichever suitable on your case. It's okay if you're not able to get that right now because you're new, you're a beginner. You have to work hard, you have to practice more. With practice it will come easily. So let's see what they're saying. Just write item content call name and if statement. Okay, so you're gonna add your name and your tick value. So this is my basically the content of my tag, and just show it. So I'm updating this variable instead of a tag itself. So if it's packed, then the value of this variable become name and the tick mark. If it is not packed, the name become only the item content will become only name, and I'm just showing the value. I'm doing my logic in JavaScript, then in JSX. This style is the most verbose. So basically, it's more writing a lot of more number of pieces of code, but it's more flexible. It's easy to do and it's easy to understand. So how it will look? You create a variable here and add your name value to it, and then you check if it is packed. Then you will update the name content with tick mark. Otherwise, just show your item content. That's all. Like before, this works not only for text but arbitrary JS as well. Okay. So you can just instead of writing this, instead of writing this text value, you can just assign a tag as well to it and just show the tag. See, this is so awesome. You can assign a tag to a variable and show that variable in your different tag, and it will work. If you're not familiar with JS, this variety of style might seem very overwhelming at first. So this is the problem which most of the people face or do not understand when they start learning React. You need to understand JS. There is no way you can move forward without JS and learn or be good at React. And I'm sorry if it seems like this, that you can learn React and become a good front-end developer. No. Even if you learn this also or somehow memorize it or practice it and become your second nature, at the end you have to go back to your JS and have to learn it. Because this happens with me. When I studied HTML, CSS and JS for bare minimum. Then moved to a framework of JS, Angular or React and learn React. And now, then again I have to go back to my JS, brush up my JS logic and work hard on that. And now when I again study React, it seems like a poetry to me. And makes like, if your JS is good, React is like, oh yes, this can be done with me. I can do this. So yeah, this is what your conditional rendering is. So let's see the recap. In React, you control branching logic with JS. You can return a JS expression conditionally if with an if statement. You can conditionally save some JS to a variable, then include it to inside a JS with curly braces. In condition A, a ternary operation. If condition is true, renders A. If condition is false, renders B. If condition is true, renders A component. For and, the shortcuts are common, but you don't have to use them if you prefer plain if. Cool. So we learn how to render conditional statement in JSX using three format. One is the basic if else, second is your ternary, and third is your and or logical operation. Cool. Let's try out some challenges. This is my favorite part of this teaching. Challenge number 1, show an icon for an incomplete item with ternary operation. Use the condition operation operator condition to render X is packed. Okay. If it isn't true. Okay, so basically if it's packed, so otherwise, now the problem is I'm gonna copy this and try to paste it here if it works. Oh, it works. Awesome. Okay. So basically it's saying if it is packed, show it as a tick mark, otherwise show it as a. Here is the result. So all the packed is shown with the tick mark, whereas all unpacked is shown with the cross. Challenge 2. Okay. In this example,